Good night to Marcia and the loyal opposition. It's so good to be in the show another time. Um, I I can't pretend I'm anything like Marcia. So I really want to be grateful to be here. And this is not the Karlova. This is National Insurance tonight. Um, I want to thank all of you who have been following um, this series of presentations on national insurance. Last Wednesday night, I was started with the pensions, and I didn't get the opportunity to take your questions, to answer your questions last week, but this week I'm hoping to be able to answer the questions that will be posed. Now, let me just make a recap on the contributory pensions that I would have dealt with last week very quickly. And that would be that, you know, persons who would have been gainfully employed and paying contributions um, during their working life will be entitled to a contributory pension um, at pensionable age. Pensionable age at present is 67, and that will be changing in 2028 to 67 and a half. This will be the very last slide that I would have given, so that it will be changing to 67 in 2028. And then in 2034, it will be going to 68. So 67 and a half in 2028, 68 in 2034. This would have come about because of challenges to the national insurance scheme. And one of those challenges would have been the $1.3 billion, which was written off by the government. It would have been affected by the fact that we have a um, Asian population, but a falling birth rate. It would have been affected by the fact that a lot more people are now self-employed and not paying contributions, and going way back for not the proper management of the national insurance scheme. So those are the changes for age-wise. The other change would be that of the number of contributions necessary to qualify for a pension. And in 2025, at present, you need 560 contributions, as against previously 500. You now need 560, and that changes from 560 all the way down to 750, which would take effect in 2031. So you are when we're working long, you're going to take longer to qualify for a national insurance contributory pension, and the number of contributions which you need to have will be increasing. And then, rather than the best 5 years, they're using now the best 7 years in 2025, and that will be changing to the best 10 years in 2028. And then, last of all, the first, the early pension. Previously, you could apply for early pension, and you were losing 6%. You were using 60%. Um, it would mean now that you'll be um, losing 8% in 2025, and then from 2026, that will be 9%. So that if you are 63 years of age at present, it means that your pensionable age will still be 67. Your pension age will still be 67, but you will need more contributions now to qualify at age 67. So anyone who would have been 60 prior to 2024, that person's pensionable age will be still 67. But going forward, it will change. Okay. I'm just trying to look at some of the questions as I go along. But I may have to answer some of the questions at the end. Now, it means that for persons who are applying for early pension at age at present, as they said, it is 8%, but it's changing to 9% next year. Now, the minimum contributory pension, which normally changes every January, and this is not a decision by the Prime Minister or any person else. This was a decision taken statutory since 2006 when there was pension reform, that every year there's a cost of living allowance attached to for pensioners, and therefore only outside of one or a couple of years the amount did not change. But at present the pension age is 254, which means that if when you apply for your early pension and the percentage that is taken, that being at present 8%, if the reduction comes to less than 254, you cannot get an early pension. You cannot get an early pension if that amount is less than $254. You may qualify at a later age before 67 where the percentage will change, but at the same time, that's the situation. Now, I would have gone from I would have gone on to the pensions for those who are government pensioners. Government pensioners, they once they joined the public service before the 1st of September 1975, they could qualify for two pensions, and therefore they could get their pension from the Treasury at 55 and their gratuity. If they joined after 1st September 1975, but they were appointed before July 85, it means that they can still go at 55 with their pension and gratuity, but they will only get one pension. All other public officers can retire at age 60. I'm getting a lot of calls because some government departments, some individuals are telling individuals that you have to work up to age 65, up to age 67. That is not correct. Once you are 60 and you have more than 10 years in the public service, then you can apply for your pension and your gratuity. Once you're 60 and over, that did not change in any of the changes at national insurance, because that's the Treasury. It means that once you apply for your pension and you have 33 and 30 years, you will receive the full gratuity that you are entitled to. If you have 10 years or less than 33 and 30, your gratuity will be calculated based on the number of years that you have. You can continue to work, but it means that if you are over, if you have more than 33 and 30 years, your gratuity will not change other than if there's a raise of salary. Now, once you receive, as I said, your early pension, if you take a pension from the Treasury at age 67, your pension will stop. Your pension will stop, irrespective of the amount that you are getting. Even though there is the information there that national insurance is paying all pensions, being contributory pensions and Treasury pensions, that is not totally correct, because national insurance is only facilitating the payment, but all of the other aspects of the Treasury needs to be communicated to the Treasury. So when you price no more than 6 months, preferably 4 months before you reach 67 and you're in receipt of a government pension, you need to apply to national insurance yourself. You must make the application. It's not an automatic conversion, and a number of public officers on reaching 67 on their birthday, they are having the unpleasant surprise that they would have only received a cost of living allowance, which may be about $50. And it's going to take approximately maybe 3 months to process a old age contributory pension. So that is very important. Now, there was a question raised in respect of person with BRA. Now, at present, all income is taxable. All income is taxable. With the BRA income tax, pensioners are allowed 40,000. They allow 40,000 tax-free. So it means that because income tax is not deducted from a treasury pension or a national insurance pension, when public officers file annually for income tax, they then have to pay the full pension, the full, income tax necessary of all income over $40,000. And therefore, there has been a call for many years that pensioners should not have to pay income tax on their pensions. And that has been my view. Um, um, the number of organizations which have been calling for the abolition of taxes on pensions. And therefore, I think the call needs to continue going out to government that it is really hard for pensioners who would have worked and contributed towards the national insurance department. There will be those that would have contributed towards their own pension in a pension plan. There will be those who are receipt of a treasury pension. When the combined pensions are made, then are received, you then have to turn around and pay income tax on it. And I don't know, for those who are persons of influence with the government, would be able to encourage government to abolish income tax on pensions. I do know that it's a tremendous revenue earner um, for the government, because we have an aging population, and there are those who have set aside something for their their retirement, but then you are forced now to pay income tax, the same as if you were working for over $40,000 a year. I think it's really hard, and so forth. I would want that the different organizations which represent pensioners, including the Ministry of Social Care, even them, I believe that they have a responsibility. They speak so much of elder abuse, would be willing to petition government for the abolition of income tax. Now, there's also the non-contributory, and I did not get a chance to finish on non-contributory last week. Non-contributory pension is not an automatic right. It is not an automatic right because you are a Barbadian. Now, once you are gainfully employed, and as I shared last week, I believe that this part of the legislation is really illegal, because several persons are being asked now to pay at least $1,200 a year in contributions to get 52 weeks, which means that they have to be earning over $183 per week in earnings. Now, if that same person was working for someone else, they would pay contributions on $21 per week and having one contribution. So while persons who are employed can receive one contribution on $21 a week, for a person that's self-employed, they must be earning on 183 to receive the same one contribution. And there are many individuals in Barbados, many forms of self-employment, because they're gainfully employed, find it difficult, almost impossible, to pay that level of contribution. Now, why am I saying that? Now, once you reach pensionable age and you have not had the number of contributions, as I said, which is 560 at present, to qualify for an old age contributory pension, if you have less than that amount, you can apply for an old age contributory grant, which is a lump sum one-off payment. But then you can apply for the non-contributory pension. All applications for non-contributory pension, the person will be interviewed. The purpose of the interview is, one, to find out what that person was doing between age 16 and pensionable age. Were you physically able to work? Were you being supported by some person for the entire period of time? And 90% of the time, a lot of those persons were self-employed and chose not to pay contributions. That person, having been interviewed, All things equal again, that claim will be sent before the National Insurance Board for them to make a decision, not the National Insurance Department, the National Insurance Board. In almost 99% of the time, those claims come back from the board indicating that that pension is disallowed. The person can appeal against that decision, but I can say to you that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of Barbadians over the age of 67 who at present are not receiving a pension at all. And this is as far as persons who were church ministers, yes. Because if you're a church minister, you are paid by the church, you're supposed to be paying contributions either by the church or paying self-employed. So the number of persons who have that unpleasant surprise at age 67, um, um, at age 67 are not in receipt of a old age pension because they would not have qualified for the contributory and they are not going to get the non-contributory. So that's why I see National Insurance is out and about trying to get persons to pay contributions. I applaud them for what they are doing, but I don't know how effective it is because I believe that there are many other opportunities to speak to the issue because we have BMX, we have Argo Fest, there are a number of shows, pop-ups that I believe National Insurance need to have a staff there. Yes, it'll be weekends and they may have to be paying overtime or whatever else, but I think that they need to do that to touch people where they are because a lot of these occasions, there are a tremendous amount of self-employed people. And therefore, it's not about National Insurance trying to collect more contributions, it's about saving these persons from themselves. Because if we cannot get our self-employed person to be paying contributions, then it means that we are going to be supporting them in their old age. We're going to be supporting them because they can be our mothers, our fathers, aunts, uncles, church members, neighbors, some person in our lives. So I would want to encourage persons to get the loved ones who are self-employed to pay contributions so that a non-contributory pension is not an automatic right. It is not an automatic right, so that the persons qualifying for non-contributory pension will be those persons who may be homemakers, who were never gainfully employed. There may be those who chose not to work. Maybe there are those who are part of the special needs group that was included last year. Those being persons who have MS, those who have Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism. Okay, but the person must be a citizen and a permanent resident of Barbados, so that a non-contributory pension can only be paid to an individual 6 months after they've entered the geriatric hospital or the psychiatric hospital or the district hospital. If a person goes into one of those institutions 6 months afterwards, the pension will be stopped. If you leave the island and you receive a non-contributory pension, that pension again will be stopped. Once information reaches National Insurance that that person is out of the island, if they're in one of those government institutions will notify National Insurance through the social worker that that pension will be stopped. Now, I'm going to share my personal opinion because I believe that government is being ripped off by many persons out there who have loved ones who are in one of those institutions. I'm not speaking about non-contributory pension. I'm talking about contributory pension. There are many individuals who are in the geriatric hospital, psychiatric hospital, and the district hospital who are in receipt of a pension. And every month religiously, there are loved ones who use that pension. And in many cases, they do not even visit that loved one. I am of the opinion, and I'd like to share my opinion because somewhere along the line, I believe it will be accepted, that half of that pension, once that person goes in geriatric hospital and your nationals can't stop it, but the legislation needs to be made that if you're going to be in one of those government agencies being supported by the taxpayers of Barbados, then the pension that that person is entitled to, half should be going to that institution to provide pampers and all of the other stuff that they receive. that family member, the caregiver, whoever is in receipt of that pension, will have the other half to be able to do whatever. And that's been my opinion for very many years, but that's only my opinion. Getting back now to the non-contributory pension. So once you are entitled to one of those pensions, again, you cannot qualify for two pensions at the same time. There are those persons who would have lived outside of Barbados and are returning to Barbados, and you are in receipt of a pension from, or entitled, you are receipt of or entitled to a pension from another country, then you are not entitled to a non-contributory pension in Barbados. So yes, you did not pay enough contributions to get a contributory pension, but you built that other country, then the non-contributory pension, which is not an automatic right, will you cannot receive that pension, and the application form must be signed by a justice of the peace, and you must be living in Barbados a number of years after reaching age 18 and also after reaching age 40. That information you can receive from the National Insurance website or from the office. I'm not going to, get into that right now. Sufficient that if you're in receipt of, because if you indicate that you are not in receipt of that pension, but then you indicate that you are living, or when you apply for the non-contributory pension and you bring all canceled passports, nationals will write that country, and therefore they will then provide information to the effect that you are entitled, that you are receiving, or that you are entitled to a pension from that country. Now, on that same note, National Insurance Barbados has a reciprocal agreement with Canada, Quebec, United Kingdom, England, and CARICOM, not the United States. So that if you have worked in one of those other jurisdictions and have paid contributions, and you do not have the required amount, meaning at this year 560, but you work and paid contributions in those other countries, which brings you to the 560, you will still qualify for a pension. The amount that you have in Barbados will be paid from Barbados, and the amount you have from that other country will be paid in that country. That would involve persons who have worked or are working in Barbados, who would have been here from St. Vincent, St. Lucia, who were cutting canes years ago for the influx of Guyanese, Jamaicans, and Haitians. Not Haitians, I don't think Haiti is included, but Guyana and Jamaica as of recent years. For Barbadians who would have worked in Canada, picking fruits and tobacco and whatever else. Those are the individuals that when they reach pensionable age and they are not in receipt of a contributory, do not have enough contributions for a contributory pension, then they would apply there for that contributory pension. So that I see it break down the percentage 6 to 8 to 10%. I'm not able to break that down. I'm not able to break that down in dollars. Let me explain something to you, because I have. I'm glad that Marcia is back, because I have difficulty reading the questions.
Yes, I could read them for you.
No, I wasn't certain whether it was Marcia or Carol.
This is Marcia Weeks of the Marcia Week Show.
I thank you very much. No, with the changes made in last year.
Yes.
So this year in the budget, where the resilience levy went up and so forth, it took National Insurance, I think, by surprise, and it meant that National had to take down its portal. The portal, well, it was still up until last week. I don't know if it came up this week, but it's been off now for a couple of months, and therefore that portal facilitated the estimator, whereby you could go on that estimator and it would give you the amount of your reduced pension at any point, so that if you were going to be 60, if you want to take it, say, next 2 years, you would put in 2027, and therefore it would tell you what your estimated pension would be. If you are 50 and you want to take it at age 60, about 62, it would tell you what your reduced pension would be at age 62. There's no way of anyone indicating what the amount would be percentage wise, because you're looking at the combination of all earnings between when you commence paying contributions and at this present moment. So it will give you two figures, what it would be right now. So it may say you're entitled to an early pension of say $260 per week, but it will also say that you're entitled to a pension of say $400 at pensionable age. So you have an idea of the amount that you're losing if you take it right now, and that would be calculated based on the earnings that are presently in the computer system. But obviously, if you continue to work, the percentage you'll be losing a lesser percentage, more contributions coming in, and therefore
Yes.
your reduced pension would end up being more, and your pensionable age amount would end up being more again, because you so that, and it's a tremendous disadvantage to a lot of individuals at present, because that estimator um, gives individuals the opportunity to make that crucial decision on whether to retire now or to wait to pensionable age. And so I'm saying that I would want that national get that back up and running like almost yesterday. It is critical. I have a lot of calls where people want my advice, but I say cannot tell you what to do because there are no figures available. I can only tell what the percentage would be, but the dollars and cents, no. You want to see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. But and so that person, you're basically saying that the computer, what's on the site would calculate it for them once the site comes back up.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
So you just
On
have,
the,
the person will just need to sign in on the portal or go to the National Insurance Office, and the officer will be able to do the calculation. It just takes about 2 minutes, 2 3 minutes. It's very very quick, and
Mhm.
it's almost correct. It's an estimated yes, but it's not very far out. It's just a matter sometimes of cents out. It is that correct. It's been that correct. So therefore, um, you would have to make the decision to retire early, and then you'll be told how much you are entitled to, but it means that you may not be entitled to it at all because it may come to less than the 254. If you have receipt of a non early pension and you want to go back to work, you can. You just need to write to their international indicate that you've gone back to work. They will stop the early pension, and then when you stop again, whether before pensionable age or another early pension, then it will recalculate it and you'll have a new amount. But you would have to make, and you cannot apply for the non-contributory until after you've finished work, because the application form asks your last day of work. The justice of the peace who has to sign that form must sign it the day after you start work. It cannot be applied for in advance. It cannot be a contributory pension at pension age can be applied early, but not an early pension.
Yes, yes, thank you. Charmaine Taylor is asking, is saying, I'm 63 years. At what age will I be able to apply for pension?
Okay. Any person who was 60 before 2024 will be 67. Will be 67. So it will be changing in 2028 to 67 and 6 months. So she can apply for it now if she wants an early pension, but if not, she would have to wait until she's 67 to receive the full pension, and then she can apply for that pension 4 months before she reaches age 67.
Yes, okay. Somebody says here, Mr. Strickland, why is it that persons who haven't paid in enough contributions can't get, but who didn't pay a cent getting pension? Explain.
We have a social responsibility to Barbadians. Now, there's a term, housekeeper. I mean, housewife. I do not subscribe to that word housewife. I subscribe to homemakers.
Mm-hmm.
We have individuals who we would say they have not paid a cent, but they have raised fantastic families. They have made more of a contribution sometimes to society than those who are gainfully employed. And therefore, as citizens of Barbados, that person has a right to a pension that they can boldly apply for, rather than have to go to the welfare department and in some cases be treated less than human. And therefore, for any person who is asking that question, I believe that that person has and the other person have loved ones in their lives who have not paid a contribution to the National Insurance Department,